I'm curious, have you seen all the good news here recently in the last couple of weeks around real estate and more specifically real estate investing? Well, in this quick video, I want to sort of highlight both good news and bad news and sort of what I think about it all. Do me a favor though, make sure you like this video. I think this is one that would be very easy for you to share with your friends and family on Facebook. If you did that, I'd appreciate it. Leave a comment. Looking to extend this channel, and I really need your help as not adding the subscribers that I was hoping for. So if you can share this video with friends and family, I would appreciate it. With that, we'll get started. So we're going to first look at some of the actual headlines and talk about each headline and sort of what I think that headline means in the overall market. Specifically, sort of broke that into two portions. First, sort of talk about the good news, and more specifically, how the good news impacts first-time homebuyers, as I really do believe all real estate markets are built on first-time homebuyers. It sort of leads to move-up buyers. It sort of leads to investors. Without the first-time home buyer in at full force, or at least trending in the right direction, it's hard to have a seller's market or an upcycle. We'll also talk about some of the what are perceived as negatives and why I actually think for what we're trying to do, it's actually good news. And we'll sort of close with what do I think it all means. With that, we'll get started. So, lots of good news going on, and I only picked 4 or 5, and there was literally dozens, if not close to 100. So first off, home builders. Right, this is new home constructions is on the rise. Now 4% is not a particularly high number. It's not even that particularly large, but what I do think it means is it only points to stronger employment. See, home sales really means construction jobs to me, and it means plumbing, and it means all those other aspects of building a home. It's actually one part of the employment picture that I think has a lot of room to grow. A lot of the job sites that I see actually are starved for skilled workers. So I could see the new home construction actually pulling back and creating a lot more jobs, and these jobs are for the most part, high-paying jobs, or at least higher than service industry. So I see a lot of good news coming on the construction front. The other one I thought was interesting is home buying plans hit a record, and I think this really points out to a couple of things, and the most important being we have I don't know, I guess I'll call it a generation of first-time home buyers that have been really hamstrung by the real estate crash. Seen maybe their parents or someone sort of suffer through home ownership and maybe didn't think it was a great idea. What's going to happen there is they're eventually going to see all these headlines and they're going to think about me too, and why not me, and I need to get some of that, and they're going to come in dribs and drabs in the beginning, and then they're going to explode on the market when they hear their friends say, hey, I just bought so and so house and I made 20 grand, or it's going to happen. People are people, and when a trend gets going, it gets going, and it doesn't stop until it absolutely collapses under its own weight, and we're years away from that happening. So I see this pent-up demand and these buying plans being a great sign about future home buying for first-time home buyers and the millennials coming into the market in a big way, and it's a huge market that's still untapped. CNBC had lots of great articles. Again, I could have picked dozens. I picked these two. Hard to believe, but prices took their biggest jump in the last 4 years in March. Again, I think this is only a sign of things to come. I think the numbers are skewed in a way where the median is going to start to show significant increase as job market gets better and the like, and more importantly, distressed inventory keeps just evaporating. Right, when you take out hundreds, if not thousands, of transactions out of the low end, which are distressed, it only means when you look at sort of total in mass that prices are going to go up. The other one I thought was interesting is housing supply is down 11.9%, year on year, so March on March. I don't know about you, but studying economics is only supply and demand. So if supply is down that much, and the buyers are out in force, prices only go one direction. So it's going to get interesting. And then existing home sales are up 1.1%. So, okay, so supply's down, let's call it 12%. Home sales are up. Prices are up. Planning for future buys is up. Job picture is getting better, right? Uh, I mean, that's just a pile of good news that I think only goes one direction. All right. So what about when bad news comes out? And, some people are trying to write negative headlines and I don't know if they're trying to scare or just trying to be counterintuitive or what, but let's talk about those. So here's one, USA Today, just the other day. Worried about a bear market. And in here, they're obviously talking about the stock market. Now they're saying, well, if you fear a stock market collapse, move into real estate. Think about that, right? It's probably been since 2006 somebody could do that, but this is going to happen. The stock market with rising interest rates, and it's now over 3% for the T-bill and all this stuff, people, the stock market's going to be in trouble. Now, obviously, I think, some of this, just given where we are, goes to cryptocurrency and all of that, but some people are going to realize that, maybe cryptocurrency is not for them, can't see it, can't touch it, so, they're going to go to real estate. And because you can see it, it is inflation protection. It is protected, over long term. And it's clearly in an upcycle, and people like being in upcycles. And the stock market's going to be in trouble, and it's going to come down, and fast money's going to leave the market, and real estate's going to come up. So again, what does that mean? That means more demand is on the horizon. How about Zillow from CNBC is entering the buy-sell business? I thought this was interesting. I actually created a video on it by myself, or with this one topic. I think it's interesting. It could be just an outlier, right? But I've seen this movie before where somebody makes a game-changing decision, someone meaning a billion-dollar organization. They likely have success as a first mover, start reporting great profits in, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 quarters. And other billion-dollar organizations figure out, why not me? So here's the deal. If Zillow comes in and they're all by themselves, it impacts demand in some cities, no question, right? If you happen to invest in a city that Zillow is focused on, I feel for you. It's gonna get interesting. My fear is that Zillow is the first of dozens that come in, and suddenly the demand doubles, or even goes up 50%. What happens to prices then? And in the video that I created just a few ago, I sort of related this to the financing issues when IndyMac and Countrywide and all these other folks sort of changed the game, and Bank of America and Wells Fargo and Chase and all these other people had to respond. Countrywide enjoyed, or IndyMac, whoever was first, sort of enjoyed a first couple of years of first mover advantage and probably wrote some very solid loans. And then when others came in, the competition got crazy and greed took over and stupidity came in, and suddenly we had a problem. So I don't know if it happens the same way on the demand side, but I can envision a time where $12 billion organizations come in and they figure my checkbook's bigger than your checkbook, and they start overpaying. And that could become a problem. But it's years away, no doubt, but it could become a problem. This one was fun. Buying home this spring, get ready for a tough decision, right? This article is really all about prices going up and interest rates going up, which makes your mortgage payment go up. Really all talking about the housing becoming less affordable. Here's the deal. Do you want to wait 6 months where prices are up and interest rates are up even more? That's what people are reacting to, right? They're seeing these news and they're like, wow, if I'm going to get in, I got to get in now. So when this all happens, it actually pulls demand forward. And if you're thinking about buying a house later this year, you'll buy it now. Again, this means demand's going up. And of course, if demand goes up and supply stays constrained, guess what happens? And then, this one was all about bidding wars, specifically in 10 cities, but I think it's happening across the country. Bidding wars are up. Paying over asking is up. And again, what this is going to happen is this is going to lead to more and more people paying over asking. It's going to lead to more and more people, throwing in bids and just, sight unseen. And it's just this cycle just starts and it just keeps building and building and building. And, we lived this 15 years ago. And rode it for 4 or 5 years to great success. But in the future, as you'll see in the next couple of slides, it can get out of control. But I don't think we're anywhere near that just yet. So I think the trend is positive, right? There was a time where it was all negative, then it was sort of 50-50, and now I can't imagine a headline, even if they tried, being negative. Right? We already talked about affordability being one of those ones they'll try to use, but again, that just screams buy now instead of buy later, right? Are interest rates, anybody really think interest rates are up for a short term? No, right? When they start going in one direction, they usually go, and they go for a long time. So you know, it's uh, it's only just begun. Again, interest rates, it's one that, we need to pay attention to, right? It eventually becomes a problem. I think we have some psychology hits maybe at 5%, maybe again probably a big one at 6. Um, but again, it's going to pull demand forward, and it's going to get interesting, even more interesting than it is now. I think demand's going up, no question, right? You have potential of billion-dollar organizations. You have the millennials, or the stuck generation, finally coming out. You have more and more people being, in the game and talking about success, and all the headlines, and the herd is just going to keep coming. I don't see any reasons why supply is going to change drastically. I think there's a lot of people that have fixed rate mortgages that maybe would ordinarily be move up buyers. They're just going to stay, right? They don't want to sell their home even if they could, because they're going to take their 3.5 or 4% interest rate and go up to 5.5 on a higher price. So you have, I don't know what it is, maybe 5% of folks that would normally sell and move up, not going to move up. So that keeps supply off the market. You have a lot of investors who bought distressed homes during the collapse that are sitting on a lot of cash flow. Yeah, their balance sheets look good and the net worth is great, but shoot, they're cash flowing crazy. Why would they sell? So I think you have a lot of these existing housing stock that would normally be available to sell that is just stuck and not going to go anywhere. And I think this is, at least in my research, I haven't seen anything like this before, right? When the upcycle is coming, and maybe there's some price point they sell, right? As one of these investors who bought a lot during the crash, I'm certainly in no rush to sell anything, but I think there's at some point a price I would sell. But I got to tell you, it's nowhere close to where we are today. But of course, if pricing's maybe doubled from where they are today, or went up 150% from today's prices, yeah, I'd probably sell. But again, that's a long way off, and I suspect there's lots of investors that think that way. At the moment, I don't see any yellow or any red or even yellow flags. I think the trend is positive. I think it's feels like it's gaining speed at a nice healthy clip. There's not enough sort of folks on it just yet to really make it feel like too much of a herd running off a cliff. So I see a lot of good news in the next 18 to 36 months. We got to pay attention, of course, but this is what's going on. So my final slide. So I think this is a time where it was just like us in 2003. Yes, it's an up market. Yes, it's a seller's market. But if you can spend the time, find the investment that makes sense, you get some, you get your initial cash flow or yield. I think the market's going to provide some additional protection, at least with asset appreciation. For me, right, if you're if you're not a full-time employee and you have time to do some flips, I think you're in a unique market where, especially for me, because I can't buy, pretty stuff, just given where I want to invest, I have to buy stuff with problems. And these problems usually come with 60 or 90-day challenges, right? Evictions, or, tenant moves, or whatever. I think in 3 to 6 months, I think the market actually gives me a price appreciation. So while I'm holding and fixing the problem, I actually make additional, I guess, price increase. So I think it feels good. And in the end, buying the right asset is a good idea. I think it's certainly for the next 18 to 36 months. The market is healthy, and it's definitely on the uptick. It's not like 2006 where it's just going hyper growth and things are just ridiculous. But there will be a time where you got to hit the pause button or look to reposition assets, either via 1031 exchange, is something we did successfully. So I think there's lots of great stuff going on. All this great stuff means it's hard. It's not going to be easy buying this stuff, but know that it's worth all the investments, and the time you put into researching and learning your market and finding that asset is all good stuff. So again, do me a favor, share this video on Facebook. Go ahead and hit the like button for me, leave a comment. And again, please share this video, and more importantly, tell the folks that you are close to on Facebook that you like this channel and that they should subscribe. I'd love to see this one video liked a dozen times and shared with your friends and family, and see our subscribers double. Have a great day.